Sixth graders, we're going to start chapter 9 today. In chapter 9, we're going to be learning about positive and negative whole numbers. There's a word that means positive and negative whole numbers. The word is integers. Integers, yes. Integers are positive and negative whole numbers. Now, we're familiar with negative whole numbers, negative numbers in Minnesota, because the temperature goes below 0 in the winter time. Okay? And so, when you're thinking of using positive and negative numbers, temperature is a good way to think. Temperature is a good way to think of giving meaning to that number. Alright? For example, the coldest January temperature on record for Baltimore, Maryland is -7 degrees Fahrenheit. The coldest February temperature on record is -3 degrees Fahrenheit. Which temperature is colder? Which temperature is colder? Raiden?
-7.
-7 is colder than -3. On a number line, we would say that that temperature is further to the left, or it's less than -3 degrees. So, when you're thinking of the value of the number, you can also think about where it would fit on a number line, or where it would fit on a temperature gauge. If the temperature would be colder, that means it would be less. And that means that the negative number, the more negative it is, the less it is. So which one is less, -25 or -40? Which one is less? Okay.
-40.
Yeah, -40 is less than -25. Okay. There's also another concept with integers that we're going to learn about in this lesson, and that concept is absolute value. Absolute value. Repeat that.
Absolute value.
Yeah, absolute value. Absolute value is how far a number is away from 0 on the number line. And so it's the number of spaces away from 0. Okay? On a number line, -5, the number -5, is 5 spaces away from 0. So the absolute value of -5 is 5. Okay? The absolute value of 5, positive 5 on the number line, is also 5. So they have the same absolute value, don't they? 5 and -5 have the same absolute value. They're both 5 spaces away from 0 on a number line. Okay? This is how the absolute value is written. It's with bars around the number. And so if you see this, if you see it written that way, you read this as the absolute value of 5. And the answer is 5. Okay? Or you would read this as the absolute value of -5. What's the absolute value of -5? Olivia? 5. Yep. 5 spaces. And that's, you don't have to say 5 spaces, because a lot of times you'll be using this number when you are doing a math problem. Alright? For example, you could add the absolute value of -5 plus 3. What would the answer be if it was the absolute value of -5 plus 3? Hillary? Well, the absolute value of -5 is 5, and 5 plus 3 is 8, so it would just be 8. Okay? That's how the absolute value works. It turns the negative into a positive because it's referring to its spaces away from 0. Okay? Now, there's another term in your book. The term opposites. Opposites are positive and negative numbers that have the same absolute value. In other words, they're the same distance away from 0, but just on the other side of 0. So 5 and negative 5 are opposites. Does that make sense? Because they're on opposite sides of 0. What's the opposite of negative 10? Andreas? 10. Positive 10. Right?
Yeah.
What's the opposite of 50? Abby? Negative 50. Right. Because it would be on the opposite side of 0. 50 spaces away from 0, but on the opposite side. So those are called opposites. And you know what? If you were to add opposites, the answer is 0. In other words, if you had 50, and then you added negative 50, the answer would be 0.
They cancel each other out.
Yeah, yep.
Or just minus.
It's kind of like adding, it's kind of like minusing when you add negative. All right? But we're just going to work on the meanings of numbers today. The meanings of the integers. Turn to page 254. Number 1. Find the absolute value of negative 4. What is the absolute value of negative 4? Matt? 4. Why is it 4? Okay.
Because it's 4 spaces away from the 0.
Good, because it's 4 spaces away from 0. So this is true. The absolute value of negative 4 equals 4. Okay? Number 2, write the opposite integer. What is the opposite of 5? Abby? Yeah, 5 and negative 5. And that's how you write those. Don't write 5 plus negative 5. Write 5 and negative 5. Because
Wait.
5 and negative 5 are opposites. Yes?
Wouldn't negative 5 or 5 plus negative 5 equal just 5?
Well, it'd be equal to 0.
What?
Because, what if it was
wait, no,
5
just like 5
degrees outside, Nat? What if it was 5 degrees Fahrenheit? And then it went down negative 5. Or instead of it went down 5 degrees. Okay? If it went down 5 degrees, then it would be 0 degrees, wouldn't it? So 5 minus 5, or 5 plus negative 5 would equal 0. Okay? Number 3. What's the opposite of negative 9? Daphne? 9. Negative 9 and 9 are opposites. You might want to write this down, be it's part of your assignment. Andres?
If we have 5 degrees, 5 positive, and we go down by 5, and we get 0 degrees, not negative.
Yeah, 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Yep.
I know, I was thinking so.
Yep, you get to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? It would look like this on the temperature gauge. 5 degrees. And then it went down 5 degrees, be 0 degrees.
But wouldn't, I said adding, so 5 plus the 5 negative would equal 5, because 5 negative basically really isn't anything, because it's negative.
You're still minusing, no matter what you do.
That you're going, if
Why
you
is it-
add negative 5 degrees, you're at 0 degrees.
That's not adding, that's subtracting.
Adding negative is
Wouldn't it
subtracting.
be like negative, like, then we just do negative 5?
Well,
I was
that
thinking
would be,
negative 10 at a minute. Then
if
negative
you,
5.
if you started at negative, if you started at 5 degrees and you added negative 10 degrees, then where would you be?
Negative 5.
Right, then you would be at
That's what I
negative.
was. But,
Is that what you were thinking?
not really. I'm thinking, is 5, and then I'm thinking 5 minus 0 basically, and then it's just 5. Because, well, 0 is nothing, and then if you get like more down, then it's just even more nothing. So, like a negative 1 would be 4 then. So it's just minusing like 5. That's all you're doing, minus 5.
If you're adding negative, it's like minusing.
If you're doing, what would this be? Negative 10 minus 5 is 5.
So on the temperature gauge, if you were at negative 10,
But you can't start with that in subtraction, you'd have to do like rounding and stuff.
no, negative 10, and then you said you went down 5 degrees?
It's not negative 5, it's just 5.
Yes, but if your temperature is going down 5,
Be negative 15.
then you get negative 15 degrees.
So can't you just do a trick and just be like 5 plus 10, 15, negative 15?
We're going to be working on that next. Adding positive and negative numbers. Okay? Does everyone understand opposites?
Yes.
All right. Let's go to number 8.
My brain is going.
Number 8, it says, how would you write a gain of 8 yards? Or sorry, 10 yards. A gain of 10 yards, is that a positive amount or a negative amount? That's a positive, so you would write positive plus 10 yards. A gain, the word gain means to increase, to go more positive. Okay? But number 9 refers to this. In geography, ground level, Matt, you better listen. Ground level is considered 0. Okay? Or, in geography, sea level is also considered 0. So if you are talking about sea level, you're talking about the number 0 on a number line. Okay? So, if you go 9 feet down, how do you write that as an integer? Negative 9. Okay? So anytime you're talking about going below ground level or going below sea level, it's a negative amount. You're going to the negative amount. Okay, the negative integers. That's also true if you're talking about money. Okay? You can actually have a negative amount of money. If you've spent more than what you have in your account, then you can have a negative balance in money. Okay? So, if a $35 decline in value, how would you write that as an integer then, Brayden?
Negative 35.
Yep, negative $35. Okay. There's other ways that it's said. Sometimes it might say it lost $35 if you have an investment that went down in value. A loss of $35 would be a negative amount. Okay? So that means that if you were starting at $50, let's just say, and then you had a loss of $35, how much do you have left, Tyler? $50, and then you had a loss of $35, you have $15 left. So your balance is 15. Okay? That's what that means. Any questions on that? What about a profit? What does profit mean? Go to number 19. What is a profit of $100? How would you write that? Nate?
It will be plus $100.
Yeah. Plus $100. Okay? $100 gain in value. Instead of a loss in, or a decline in value. Alright? Yeah, did you write that one down? We're on number 19, why aren't you? Well, that's not a good reason to
My
not be
pen
following along.
does not work. Marker's dry.
You don't have a pencil, you don't have a
I
single
just
pencil?
had one, but then like, it's
Well,
just.
find it.
Abby covered it with her foot. Evidence.
We have
Alright, get back on track now, get back on track, okay? Peter, you have a question about number 11?
Yeah.
How to use a number line to compare two numbers? Well, one of the ways is to tell if it is on the left side of 0 or on the right side of 0. Okay? You can compare numbers based on where they are on the left or on the right of 0. On the left side of 0 are the negative numbers, and on the right side of 0 are all of the positive numbers. Okay? Also, the farther a number is to the left on a number line. How would you finish that sentence?
It goes higher.
Goes higher. What do you mean goes higher?
The number rises.
The number rises. Keep going. That doesn't explain it. Andreas?
It goes negative,
It goes negative.
like more to the left.
More negative. Does it go more negative as it goes to the left?
Yes.
So, the farther the number is to the left on a number line, the more negative right? How else could you finish that sentence? How else could you finish that sentence? Read it?
The like the lower value it has.
Okay, the lower the value is. Yeah. Think about on a temperature gauge. The farther below zero, how would you describe those temperatures? The farther the number is below zero, how would you finish that sentence? How would you finish that sentence? Abby?
The colder the weather.
Exactly, the colder the temperature is. Okay? The farther below zero is your bank account is.
Oh, I have a question.
Oh, I thought you were going to finish this statement. The farther below zero your balance is, the more in debt you are. Yes, exactly. Yep. That's how that works. Okay. So with that idea then, go to number 24. Complete the statement comparing -8 and 6. Is it less than, greater than, or equal to?
I know.
Tyler?
Awesome.
Okay, so which way does it point, the arrow?
To the left.
Right, the arrow points to the left. You know why? Because on a number line, here's 0, and -8 is to the left of 6. Look. That's why that arrow points that way. That's what that means. That on a number line, -8 is to the left of 6. Okay? Peter?
On number 29, I'm confused now because
Well, wait, we're not at 29 yet. Let's do number 25 next. Olivia?
on 24, so for the thing, is all of the numbers, all the positive numbers going to be bigger than all the negative numbers?
Yes. All the positive numbers will be bigger than the negative numbers because it has more value. It's a higher temperature, for example. Okay? Bennett?
What's the difference between the numbers with the plus sign and the numbers without a plus sign?
That's a good question. In your book, they put a little plus sign there. But do they need to put that? No. If you are referring to a positive number, you just write the number. Okay, that is a positive 6. Okay? If you're writing a negative number, you have to have the negative sign. Okay? Number 25. Kate?
Okay. Oh, they would be equal.
Yeah, they're equal. Yep. They're equal. -26. -9 and -7.
7. Oh, I know.
Okay,
Plus,
what? Read it.
-9 is less than nothing.
Yeah. -9 is less. It's lower. It would be a lower temperature, wouldn't it? Okay. 27. That one's pretty easy. 0 and 10. Jack?
0 is
0 is less than 10. Number 28. -17 and -18. Correct. -17 is greater than -18. Number 29. Number 29 has the absolute value bars. And so, in this case, we're not talking about the value of the number, we're talking about the number of spaces. The absolute value of negative 24 versus the absolute value of positive 21.
20.
So which one is greater? Rated.
24, negative 24.
Negative 24, exactly, is greater. The absolute value of negative 24
Is
is greater than the absolute value of positive 21. Because 24 spaces is more than 21 spaces. Does that make sense?
Wait, so when there's lines on each side, then that means spaces?
Yes, that means spaces. That means distance. The distance this number is from 0 is greater than the distance that this number is from 0. Does that make sense? All right. Olivia.
What happens if there's only one absolute number?
Oh, like in number 30?
Yeah.
So in number 30, it says that 16 is greater than, less than, or equal to the absolute value of negative 61. Okay? Now, since the absolute value of negative 61 is what? Is 61, then this is really what you're comparing. Oh, that's a weird box. Hard to draw boxes that name. So then this is what you're really comparing. Okay? And so then that's pretty simple, isn't it? 61 is greater than 16. 16 is less than 61. Yes? You have to do 32 to 53. 32 to 62. Evens.
Okay.
Okay.
I've already done one to the entire thing all the way up to 42.
Good. Trevor.
My hand already hurts from just reading 4 plus negative. Wait, like number 42 or be like 4. Peter, or Peter.
Will be one to the right of the number.
That's what. Hey, I'll do that when I'm done. Gee. Wait, no, it would be.
Okay. Hey, look at number 42. Let's do number 42. Okay? So listen, when it says to name an integer that is one more, it's always one to the right. Number 42. One to the right on a number line is one more. One less is one to the left on a number line. So if we look at our number line, and at number 42 it says one more than 7, than positive 7, what would we write? What's 1 more than 7? 8. 43. What's 1 more than negative 3?
We're not doing 43.
I know, but what if we did? What's 1 more than negative 3 on the number line? Hillary? Negative 2, that's right. Because it's from negative 3, 1 to the right is negative 2. That's 1 more. That's plus 1. Okay? Now, that means that 1 less is 1 to the left on a number line. So when you go to number 48, or let's say you go to number 50, because that's one of the ones you have to do. 1 less than -6. What's the number to the left of -6 on the number line? I think to the left.
Oh,
-7, yeah. -7 is 1 to the left. So actually I could write it like this to make it. Because the numbers count up in their absolute value. Okay?